You can.
Sure, great. Hi, everyone. So, Smita mentioned, I'm Lakshmi. I have been working with Trisense for the past 8 years, and with Commerce Cloud specifically for the past 5 to 6 years. Uh, Before that, I was working with IBM WebSphere Commerce, but basically always been with e-commerce, working with e-commerce solutions. As mentioned, this is basically the meeting is around giving you an introduction to Salesforce Commerce Cloud, as well as how the product Salesforce Order Management works and how this is integrated with Commerce Cloud. So I'll be leading the section around the introduction to Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and I'll also just walk you through what the site looks like, what the starter store looks like, and what are the different tools that we work with. Okay, Salesforce Commerce Cloud is basically one of the first SaaS-based e-commerce platform that was developed, and this was formerly known as Demandware, which when acquired by in Salesforce by 2016 was rebranded to Salesforce Commerce Cloud. Now, this basically provides you with order management capabilities with mobile features and AI personalization. And it also helps you sync the shoppers online as well as in-store experience. We support mobile apps as well as for in-store, we've got this endless aisle application that's there. Basically, this is all the web web servers, application servers, DB servers. These are all hosted across 150 plus data centers, and it's very scalable. We've got the concept of pod, realm, all of that. I'll be coming into all of that in the next slide. Now, talking about the AI part that's there in Commerce Cloud, this is mainly driven by Einstein, and this helps in personalizing recommendations as well as giving customers search suggestions, which is based on studying other customer behaviors and all of that. So this is a very strong feature that Commerce Cloud provides. In addition to the AI, it also comes with an embedded CDN, which is hosted on Cloudflare. Now, I did mention that this has order management capabilities, but it's not really very strong. It doesn't support post-order processing and returns management. And basically, this is where the new product Salesforce Order Management helps solve many of these issues. Just talking a little about the development model, how this has evolved. Basically, when it was known as Demandware, when it started, the developmental model that was used was called pipelines. It looks like a flow chart and sort of resembles the concept of flows that you have in Salesforce Core. So this is what it was based on, and then it basically evolved to using JavaScript controllers. And it's basically built on ECMA and Rhino JavaScript. So this is just a high-level introduction on what the platform is capable of. So Commerce Cloud provides a starter store, which is a full-fledged starter store, allows you to place a complete, supports the complete customer journey from home page to placing an order and viewing your order history. I'll be walking you through that soon. There are a couple of tools that we use, which is the most important one of it being Business Manager. That's like the dashboard that's provided, and it's used by merchants as well as the development team to deploy code, to manage configurations, and all of that. And I'll also walk you through the Business Manager. We've got a couple of other tools like Account Manager and Control Center. Control centers basically for you to be able to control whether to start your servers, your instance servers. And account manager basically controls your access to the instances. But business manager is the most important one of the lot. And I'll walk you through that as well. Any questions so far?
Lakshmi, I think we can take all the questions towards the end. You can connect.
Okay, yeah, will do. So what you see here is the core architecture of how this is structured. So the base thing is the thing called sandbox. So the sandbox is an instance that is used by our development team. They develop their code onto that. They do their unit testing and all of that. Now, this is called the sandbox instance, and normally when a project starts, the client provides us with 5 sandboxes which fall under an instance group called secondary instance group. So the SIG that you see here is basically just hosting all the sandboxes together. Now moving on to the primary instance group, this has 3 instances. One is development, staging, and production. Production is just basically where your live site sits, and all the production configurations are available. Development is where we normally deploy our code to for testing, for QA testing and UAT and all of that. That's all. It's just a simulated production instance. You've got embedded CD in there. So you can try out things that you want to do on production in the development as well. Now, staging is where the merchants actually work a lot. They manage content, they manage catalogs, they manage products, everything in the staging instance. And this is where the master data resides. So the production data is actually in staging, which is then pushed to the production instance via a process called data replication. So data is almost always replicated from staging to production. Even code is replicated from staging to production. We never deploy code directly into production. And there are just very few resources where we need to upload the data directly into production, like inventory, but 99% of the data is actually replicated from staging to production via the process called data replication. And these 3 instances, that is the development, staging, and production, they together form the primary instance group. Now we often have monthly releases, updates, feature updates from Commerce Cloud. So how this works is the updates are first released to the SIG instances, the secondary instance group, and then where the team has time to make sure that their code hasn't broken with the new features that have come in. And once that's done, it's all rolled out to the primary instance group. Now, all of these instances together form the realm. So every client will have a realm of their own. So this is all just encased into the concept called a realm. Now, there's another concept called pod, which is point of delivery. And this is basically just a collection of realms. And it's basically, it has a network and storage services that together combine to form the multi-tenant SaaS architecture that we have. So it's instance group, sandboxes, instance groups, realms, and finally pods that host multiple realms. So this is on a very, very high level, the Commerce Cloud architecture. I will now walk you through the Business Manager dashboard. Just a minute. Yeah, I hope you can see a screen which says Sandbox ZZRA products and catalogs.
Yes, Lakshmi. Yes,
Yeah,
it's visible.
sure. So this is the business manager dashboard that I was referring to, where we basically manage all the configurations and the development team deploys their code to. So, um, so when it comes to an e-commerce platform, the main concepts are catalogs, price book, inventories, customers, and orders. So here you are given the options to manage the product data, manage the price, the inventory, orders, taxes, payment methods, shipping methods, all of that. I'm not going to go into details around this, but this is just so that you know. And in the administration side, you've got configurations which help the development team do any dev related config and all of that. So what you see here right now is the Sandbox Business Manager. Similarly, we have business manager dashboards for every single instance. So there's a separate one for development, there's a separate one for staging and production. And you need to log into each of those separately to have your configurations done there. Now, on each instance, you can have multiple sites. So there could be a client that has presence across multiple countries, and these could be a different site. So you will have the option to select the site for which you want to do the configurations, right? So in this case, we've got two sites called Spark and Spark US, which is a US version of it. Similarly, so if you want to configure something really specific to Spark US, you basically just click on Spark US, and now you're presented with the options for that. From here, you can launch the storefront and then start browsing the site. So an e-commerce site is basically split into a couple of sections. The first being search and browse, the second being checkout. Then you've got the account section. Now this is a very broad categorization. In search and browse, you've got the home page, which is what you see right now. It's just basically a content section that you have in here, right? And it's got a header and footer. Most of you must be familiar with how the e-commerce sites work. So just giving you a very high level overview. From there, you proceed to product listing pages. Then you select a product and you land on product detail pages. And then there's the cart, checkout, and then order confirmation. So I'll just walk you through each of those pages. And we've got, so all of these are built on concepts called controllers, which I mentioned about, which is JavaScript based, and ISMLs, which are similar to JSPs. So now if we go into, so what you see here is the navigation bar, which is mainly driven by the catalog that's configured in your business manager. So this is the product listing page, which shows all the different products that are available to be sold. And this is the product details page. So where you can select the size, the colors, all of these are configurable in your catalog via the business manager dashboard. Now, once you click on add to bag, you can now proceed to the cart. Now, what you see here is actually a modified version of the starter store. So the starter store is actually called SFRA, and we've just modified it slightly. And this is called Spark. So yeah, this is a cart page where you are shown all the totals, and you have an option to select, enter your coupon code, select a shipping method, and you can proceed to checkout from here. You also have options to modify your product or increase the quantity, remove them. All these actions are possible on the cart page, and this is all part of the starter store.
Lakshmi, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
So you said about products, Facebook catalogs and all. So are they actually, I mean, those are standard out of the box Salesforce objects, or is it like the custom objects coming along with this Commerce Cloud?
So catalogs, price books, inventory lists, these are all standard Commerce Cloud objects.
So which is different from our normal Sales Cloud, price book, products, all those standard objects?
Yes, yes, it would be.
Even though
This,
we have those data over there, we need to replicate the same data over to these custom Commerce Cloud objects as well.
right. So I think I didn't get who is asking the question, but this is Bijo. So innately, what we are trying to bring out is that Commerce Cloud is not the same as Salesforce Core, right? It is on another platform called Demandware. It's a separate platform. It doesn't follow the same architecture as Salesforce Core, right? So these objects that you see over here are specific to Commerce Cloud as the offering, right? And it's got nothing to do with the core Salesforce product as such. So your sales and service price books and all would be separate. Yes, and in terms if you're trying to say how it gets integrated, I know, yes, you will have to get it replicated here also. Did I answer your
All right.
question?
Yeah, this was Christopher. Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Okay, so from the cart page, we can now proceed to checkout, which is basically divided into shipping, billing, and payment sections. Before that, if you are browsing as a guest user, you have an option to register. So I'll just check out as a guest. And I can change my shipping method here. I can also in the out of the box one, that's all I can do. I can just change my shipping methods, but clients do go with requirements of having gift cards and coupon codes and all of that. So once I've entered my shipping details, I then proceed to having my to entering my billing address, which is right now pre-populated because I have it as the same one. I've also got the credit card, debit card section. You can have multiple payment methods depending on what the client requirements are. So you can have PayPal, Afterpay, the card, bank transfer, all of that.
Lakshmi, does it support UPI and other Indian platforms?
No, so the thing is, Commerce Cloud, the starter store comes with just a very generic credit card payment method, which actually is not integrated with anything. It's just there as a placeholder. When we develop projects for clients, they come up with requirements as in we want PayPal integrated or we want UPI integrated, and that's when we take it up. So it's taken up during development of the project. Did you understand that? So we can, so to answer your question, yes, we can do it. It's just a matter of developing that integration. The starter store.
So it is possible to integrate UPI and other platforms here in this Commerce Cloud, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
But
yes,
again,
it is. Sorry, I'm not sure if it's just for me, but your voice is kind of breaking up.
Yeah, I think it's breaking up for everyone. That's fine, Lakshmi. Krishna, I think we got your question, right? So to reiterate, what Lakshmi is saying is what Commerce Cloud offers is the bare bones architecture, and how you want to integrate and extend it is up to the clients, and that is where SIs like us come into play, where we build those integrations for those payment methods. Yes, Lakshmi, continue.
I'll continue. Yeah. Okay. So I've just entered my card details, my email address, phone number, all of that. And now I basically proceed to place my order, which now when I click on that, there's a lot of processing that happens in the background. The payment is authorized, captured, inventory is reserved. All of these actions take place. And then finally, the order is confirmed and the customer, and if everything is successful, the customer is taken to the order confirmation page. So I'll just proceed to place the order now. So this is the review page that's shown, just one final step for you to review what you have submitted. So you can see this is the order confirmation page. I'm shown my order number, what the date is, and what was the data that I had entered, details of the items that I had ordered. And because I am a guest customer, I also have an option to create an account here. So this is on a very, very high level, an introduction to Business Manager, to the starter store, and the features that it has. So I'll probably just show you this particular order in Business Manager, just so that because I'm sure in the order management module, we will be looking at orders from this module. So as you can see, this is the order that I had placed, and I am shown what are the details of the order. I can actually modify some of the attributes if I want. Here, for example, if something is incorrect, customer service representatives can always log in here and correct the details if they need to. So this is just the order section in the Business Manager module. Yeah, so that's what I had for today. Biju, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll just share my screen right now. So
Sure.
just thanks, Lakshmi. As you all saw, right? So just let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah. Yes, we can see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, thanks. So as Lakshmi said, right, this is basically the business manager where you can see multiple sites that are hosted. So I'll directly go to the storefront. So for my part of the agenda, what I'll do is I'll basically showcase the Commerce Cloud and Salesforce core order management integration, right, and what comes with the offering. And then I'll try to see if I can brush through the various behind the scenes tools that actually goes into play, right? So primarily, I won't drive the entire discussion with a slide deck. I'll share the slide deck at the end of it in the chat, right? You can go through it, and if at any point you want to get back to me, you can always do. So I'll just make this more demo so that it's that much more interesting and all, right? So as Lakshmi said, Spark is something that it's an Trizen's IP. It's basically an accelerator that we have built on the SFR, the Salesforce Reference Store architecture that Commerce Cloud comes with. And we have just added and made it easier for it to roll out to clients and narrows down the implementation period for what do you call Commerce Cloud to around 2 to 3 weeks. This is all from content to product to staging to everything, right? So it comes with a much more flashier, and it also comes with delivered integrations the way that you saw, right? The credit card integration and gift card integrations and all, right? So you can basically activate it and we can enable it on a live store in and around 2 weeks. So that's basically what Spark is all about. So without wasting much time, I'll just log in into the store. So I'm a logged in customer. I'm basically logging into the store to storefront to make my purchases. So all of this is part of Commerce Cloud. I'll just would like to reiterate the whole part that this is not on your standard Commerce Cloud platform. I mean Salesforce core platform. This is entirely different from it. As I said, as Lakshmi had mentioned, 2016 was this key acquisition that Salesforce had made to have a SaaS-based offering on under the Salesforce umbrella, right? So Commerce Cloud is not entirely on the platform, and this is probably one of the reasons why we have it as a delivered integration right now. So I'll just make. So if you see, this is my profile, and one second, this is my. Uh, you get to see your profile if you have if you are a logged in customer. You get to see your profile and manage it. You get to see your order history and all. But what it lacks is, as Lakshmi said, it lacks all that you can do is to view your stores and you modify your account details, right? It doesn't allow any kind of order servicing where you can cancel or return or anything. So for those, what we normally do for our clients is we build them custom on the platform itself right now. And probably the way in which Salesforce would want to address it is to have it integrated with order management system, where order management systems provides customers a way in which the CSRs can initiate cancellations and returns directly from it, right? So I'll just try to make some purchases, right? So I'll just Is it visible? You can. Thanks, Rijo.
Yeah, we should just refresh and probably you can wait for a few seconds and then select it.
Okay, okay, okay. Sorry.
Not sure if the JavaScript hasn't loaded.
Sure, sure. Okay. So we'll just order a couple more products, right? So just so that I can showcase to you the other the various order servicing scenarios that is possible, right? So I know what you're thinking. Either Bijo is a closeted cross-dresser and is shopping really. Please don't judge me by my shopping decisions. So we are just trying to. So if you see, I have now two of these items in my cart, and I'm trying to what do you call check out right now, right? So this is basically how it starts, how it ends basically for Commerce Cloud, and I'll just give my phone number. And I go into payment. I give my payments. Right, I accept the terms. So with if you are a registered if you have a logged in customer, you get the flexibility. Commerce Cloud provides you the functionality to basically store what do you call store your account details and manage it. But as I said, other than that, the only thing that you can rather do within Commerce Cloud is just capture the intent of that particular customer, right? So we'll just take a look at this order in Business Manager again. So I go to the Spark US store. I go to ordering, and this particular realm and the one of our Salesforce instances are integrated. So if you see, you can see that this particular order, and it says the order management status is accepted. So this is basically an identifier for all integrations that are enabled between Commerce Cloud and order management. So if you have this enabled, what you get to see is whether the order has been accepted in your order management system or not, right? So this is a standard Salesforce, the core platform, right? And within this, you have order management. And what you get to see over here is something called order summaries, right? So I'll get more into the specifics of order summaries right now, right? In a couple of minutes. But before I go to that, I'll just take you through an order summary. So what the offering comes with is one order management console. It's very similar to your Service Cloud console, where you can use the app builder and build a console, right? It comes with specific out of the box order management specific lightning components which you can use, right? And if you have any kind of automations or recommendation engines that you would want to tie into this particular thing for your service agents, you can do that with your action and recommendations part, right? So on a whole, what you get to see is the same products that I've ordered in Commerce Cloud. And then what you do is taxes also get carried forward, right? So basically what Salesforce innately does is it creates what is called the original order or the order intent. So this is your standard Salesforce order transaction, which comes with the standard orders object. But when you have order management, you get all the capabilities which order management provides, which is innately planned and orchestrated around what is called an order summary. I'll get to that in some detail. So you get to see that the billing address, the shipping address is all carried forward directly with this integration. So as I said, you just need to raise a ticket and enable the integration. So this is basically zero effort, and the integration comes out of the box. It's offered free for Salesforce order management customers who have a Commerce Cloud license, right? And I'll just walk you through a typical life cycle of an order summary. So first, the order falls into a created status, and as you said, as you see, it is created by a platform integration user, so which is enabled by support. And then you basically approve the transaction. So this is a order, and this is where the fulfillment agent basically checks the availability of the product that is being ordered, and he just approves it, right? So if you have a order life cycle or a process within your organization where you necessarily don't have an approval process, you can directly build an automation on creation of an order summary and directly approve it, right? But what happens after this is there is a child transaction, that child or almost a separate transaction that is getting created within order management, which is called a fulfillment order. So innately, what Salesforce within order management is trying to bring out is the separation of order and the fulfillment part of it. So you have the intent that gets captured in the commerce or your e-commerce web portals or web stores, whichever it is. Then that comes into the system, the order summary is created, and then for the fulfillment aspect of it, everything that you need to do from shipping it, packing it, labeling it, and all the way ensuring that the order reaches the particular customer is tracked against what is called a fulfillment order. It is not your typical order summary that we have, right? So that is also one small thing that is very unique to this order management system. All the more something that if you've seen all these custom requirements that we would have got when implementing CRM at our clients, which start with just build me a simple order capture form, and we'll just need that, and which then mutates into something really big where you need partial cancellations, you need to initiate returns, refunds, you would want to do partial fulfillments, all of that, right? So having this decoupled, I mean, it's coupled, but having this tracked against fulfillment order as an object really offloads that much amount of work on trying to track the fulfillment of each item to its destination, right? So here you will have the same order again. You would have them as order fulfillment products, right? And then you can, and if the product is ready to be shipped, you can tag a shipment. Look, you can give the shipment details over here. So this is a means by which you can actually track the shipping details. So if you, and this is another integration point which is pretty much available for SIs to leverage and integrate. So when you create a shipping record over here, if you want to integrate it with your shipping partner, these are venues where you would want to do that, right? So you do that. If you can map a tracking number, you can do that, and you can choose which is your shipping provider, right? So these are typical configuration and setup things that you do within the platform. But as I said, the shipping is tagged against, right, your fulfillment order, and your fulfillment order is basically then linked to your order summary, right? So, and once you, and your and your fulfillment order can have its own process in itself, right? So it has to go through assigned, somebody has to pick it from the warehouse, somebody packs it, right? And then you can fulfill it, right? So I'll just fulfill the order just to showcase the entire life cycle as such, right? So now if you go back to your fulfillment order, it still says fulfillment awaiting fulfillment, and it's entirely fulfilled, right? So when you do that, now what you see is you basically see that an invoice is generated for this order. So one of the key capabilities that order management system gives you is it gives you the basic financial records that you would need, which you can pass on to your ERP systems, right? So there's invoicing that is given. You get the invoices. It gives you the breakup of charge and tax. All of that is available. But this by no means should be read as a replacement to your ERP. This just gives you the required data model and the elements which you would need to then pass it on to your ERP systems, right? Now now that it's fulfilled, let me just walk you through a order servicing workflow, right? Where I'm just going to say return an item. I just don't want to have two of these. I'll just return one of the floral V-neck dresses that I have, right? So I'm just saying it's damaged. You want to modify, you want to influence the shipping amount, you want to refund the shipping amount that was spent, you can do that. So this is also something that's really cool, right? So and this is pretty much one of the requirements that come in any kind of order use cases that you would have to build custom also, where the requirement was always, I don't want the CSR to be able to cancel immediately, but give him a screen where he can talk through the customer and try to convince him on whether he should actually return it, or whether we can raise another order, talking him out of actually returning the particular enzyme, right? So one talking point, and you give him a preview, and in another sense give him a preview of what is the kind of refund that he can expect, right? So that it's very transparent. So here you're not actually gone through the process, it's just before submitting you were presented a preview screen of how it would look and what are the various refunds amount that that the customer can expect from his end, right? So the refund amount that you're going to get, the customer can expect is $137, and if he's done if he's going through with it, you can submit it further, right? And while he's done with it, right, one thing that if you go back to the order summary again, you can see there's a credit memo that gets generated, right? So your negative invoices, which knocks off the amount from your invoice and your order amount, so you have these financial transactions that are also matched. So that is also something that comes as part of the offering, right? So if you go by, if the customer subscribes to order management system and goes by it, he gets the all of these functionalities are inbuilt. Now rules and rules specific to the business, you will have to still customize it and incorporate it if it's not in sync with whatever is provided. But on the whole, the mechanics of creating these transactions are all part of the offering, right? So here also you get the details of the credit memo, right? And if you have a payment gateway integrated with order management system, right? So that is again something that I would want to highlight. So the order management system also comes with what is called payments platform, right? And if you have a payment provider that, or a PSP that you use for your purposes, you can basically integrate it with the payments platform. I'll come to the specifics of that and how, and probably we can delve into that in another session. So Salesforce now is a pure play payments platform. It can initiate capture requests and refunds directly from the platform. So all you need to make a request to the payments platform and connect it to the right PSP. Based on some configuration and some coding, you can basically refund it to that customer's, charge it back to the customer's payment method, right? So I'll just walk you through. So I'll just walk you through one particular scenario that so let's now that we've now after a few days, I still feel like I still don't require something and I want to return just before the holiday season or something. I want to return another product, right? I'll just select that. So this particular wizard that you see over here is again orchestrated by using Lightning flows, right? So these are Lightning Web Components that have been orchestrated in Screen Elements, and these basically gather the input and then use the order management APIs to create the required transactions at the back, right? So, and as I said, this is open to customization and changes based on the customer requirements. If there is more information that needs to be collected, you can customize these screens with custom Lightning components and get the work done, right? Innately, what you have to do is expose a screen in some way or the other, and ensure that you sequence the calls to these APIs to initiate these transactions, right? So here again, it comes to the review screen, and then you submit it and it returns, right? I would want you to take you to just this one particular part about order summary, right? So if you go over here, as I said, this is the original order that gets created, right? So within the order management universe, what is now what we now have is what is called order summary, which would be constant across the life cycle of that entire order, all the way from intent. So this is basically the initial order intent, right? So this is what I had ordered initially, right? And then if you if I refresh again, you get to see the various related orders that are related to this original order, right? These are these return transactions that we just initiated from it, right? All of them are internally created as orders themselves, right? So they are created as orders, right? So every change to this snapshot of the initial intent are again created as orders within order management system, right? And then Salesforce order management systems does what is called a summarization of this, and that is what is visible to the customer at order summaries. So you get to see that now with two of these return orders, right, which are individual order objects itself, are all summarized against what is called as your order summary, right? Order summary transaction, right? So this is basically how it works, and even your order lines also have a history, right? So they also maintain a history of what all changes has happened to it, how many was returned, right? You even get details about what was initially allocated, how many was fulfilled, how many was ordered, how many got returned, right? So this is all controlled and done by the order management product. You just need to create these base transactions or call the right APIs and initiate and create these from the system, right? So order management system comes with all the and this similarly works for cancellation, returns, and the likes. And with the recent release, Winter 21, what we have is there is a base data model for returns. So if you are into the business of returns of materials, you want to track a return and track the return all the way back to your inventory, you can do that. You will have to custom orchestrate it with order management. Right. So I'll just walk you through a couple of key things that is very important, right? One is order management is offered as a standalone product from Salesforce. Means it doesn't, you don't need to be an existing Salesforce customer to have order management. It is sold entirely on its own. And what they're saying is, and it doesn't matter whether you use B2C commerce, whether you use Magento, Shopify. If you want to manage your order fulfillment on the platform, what we would need is you would just need to purchase the licenses and you need to build a custom adapter with these storefronts, whichever is your storefront. Now, and the reason why it's pretty simple to do it is I'll just showcase to you on Workbench. And the other couple of really cool features that order management Salesforce does is, right, and if you have previously worked on any requirement where you had to replicate orders from a downstream or an upstream system, right, you would always know that it's not just one API call that actually makes it happen. You would probably want to create the base objects like account, product, right? So it's never a single API call that actually makes you replicate an order within the core platform. And you you'd always run the risk of what do you call trying to run over your governor limits and all, and you have to keep this in mind, right? But one of the cool things that Salesforce comes with, I'm not sure if you have previously used this or experienced this, is the composite resource, right? So composite resource is one of the cool parts where you can actually string a set of objects, right, that you would want to create. So I can refer to quite a lot of them. So at this one, and you can string all of them in one payload and sequence them in an order that has to be created, and then have the transaction created at the end. And it all counts to one API call against your governor limits, right? So if you haven't tried this out, you can probably take a look at it. So I'll link those particular things in the deck that I'll share, right? So I'm just trying to um, create a order transaction from Yum. So I'm just going to post a payload. So if you see over here, I'm creating the account, I'm creating the sales channel, I'm creating the order, specific object specific to order capture. The product also is being created, right? While I create this thing right now, but in the B2C order integration, one of the key things that you have to know is the order integration that is built by Salesforce and is offered as offered free with the integration. It does account matching. So based on your email ID, it checks whether the account is already present in your CRM system, or if it's sales or service, your sales or service cloud, and it matches the account and then links your account to that particular order. And what it also does is it also does catalog import. I mean, it syncs your product catalog also, right? Prices probably are built are runtime, but the product definition gets created once. But it's a one-time. It doesn't do a two-way sync in no which way in any kind right now. So if your account is already existing and it comes from B2C commerce with an email ID, it syncs it with it links the account to that particular order summary. And in case it is an order that is not available, not previously available, it creates it. If it's already available against that particular product, it just links that particular order into Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. I mean, sales or service, the core platform, right? So I'll just execute this. So I'm using the composite resource. I'm just linking all these particular things. So this is entirely the entire order data that I need to send to create an entire order summary, right? So with this one payload, I do away with creating accounts and in this sequence, right? It also gives me the ability to set an all or none flag where I can commit if all of them are or rollback based on whether it's I need a partial success or not, right? Or obviously in our use case it doesn't make sense, so all or none is true, right? So I'll just walk you through this. And one of the other capabilities that it lets you do, right? Lets you do is basically it lets you do split orders. So you can do split fulfillment. So if I go back to my instance again and I go to order summaries, so you get to see this is the order that I just created, right? And as I said, right, so if you have requirements where your order your order lines have to be shipped to different resources, Salesforce order management system does an amazing good job of trying to split that order and to ensure that you can fulfill it separately, right? Now in this particular use case, if you see, there's one line item that is linked to John Doe and there's another which is linked to another shipping addresses. So there are two shipping addresses basically and two different lines tagged to them, right? So um, Salesforce order management lets you split your order and ensure that it can be fulfilled separately. So now if I go and approve this particular transaction, what happens behind the scene is there are two fulfillment orders that get created, right? So so you can independently track each of this one particular order to these two fulfillment orders, and each of these fulfillment orders can go through their own life cycle, and you can track them till it reaches the customer and the right destination, right? So that is also something that Salesforce does pretty well in this, right? And in an upcoming release, in the next release that is there, it also does inventory allocation. You can do location management. So you can basically define all your locations, and based on the delivery address and the locations, it can basically make that it calculates which is the most apt location to ship the product out, and creates and assigns the locations accordingly to these fulfillment orders. So that's also something that you can see. So as I said, since it has to be shipped to two different at all times, doing this previously in all our custom implementations, if you remember, tracking this thing to two separate addresses was a pain, right? So with fulfillment orders almost decoupled and having its own life cycle, now you can basically what do you call, track this independently to ensure that they reach their respective locations, right? And as I said, in terms of actually making a call to create the order summary, all I have to do is use the composite service and composite resource and start and send a payload which innately creates the required transaction at my end, right? The other thing that I would want to just to highlight, I mean, just while we are here, so that so everything that you see over here, right? As I said, now in terms of say, for example, now if you have a community where it does where you have been asked to build self-service into your portals, right? And you would want to initiate a cancellation, right? So it's a self it's a customer initiated self-service transaction where he wants to return a particular gift. So what you can do, what Salesforce allows is something called shared commerce services, right? In which you just basically need to pass on the right detail to these APIs and initiate those transactions. For example, let's just try to uh, cancel this particular transaction through a particular, right? So I'll go to Workbench again.
So Biju, just a time check.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that we have enough time for the quiz as well. Thank you.
Sure, just give me 5 minutes. I'll do it. I actually wanted to show. Probably another time. I'll just do that. Yeah, 1 second. So if I go back to my fulfillment order, right, my order summary, so I can execute actions against these order summaries directly from through APIs. So I can say this particular order summary, I want to cancel a particular line item, say this particular line item. So this is my order item summary. I'm saying this item, and I pass it on into the payload over here. Right, I'm saying quantity 1, shipping ready 5, right? So all I have to do is, if I have to just give the customer a preview of what it would look like when I execute this particular transaction, I just need to all I need to do is make a call to the order management namespace where I have the order management commerce services. I give the item that I'm trying to cancel and the quantity, the reason, and the flag, right? So what you basically get to see is it gives you a breakup of it, right? In terms of what is it that what is the adjustment amount. It does that breakup at the back for you from based on all these with the APIs as such, right? So you have that flexibility to integrate your customer facing portals to initiate all of these things as part of self-service also. So I have also shared the link for all of these namespaces where you can go and explore them. So I think I'll just stop. There was some things that I would want. Probably we'll showcase, right? And not only are these things available for as REST resources, you can also use them within code, right? So there is. I'm not sure if you are aware of the Connect APIs. So Connect APIs have a REST Apex based access also, where you can actually use the Connect APIs through code, and you can create a change item representation and initiate cancellations through code itself, right? So you can either have it entirely through integration, or if you want to build it through your own custom community portal and you would want to initiate a self-service requirement, you can pretty much do it through a Connect API in Apex and get that thing created, right? So I'm just I'll just I think with that I'll just pause. What I'll do is I'll just share the deck with you folks. It has our Twitter handlers and um, on that. So if you guys want to want any more information on that, you can download it. There's the links to these inks. I actually wanted you to showcase one of the other parts where I was talking about not having a prerequisite to have the storefront on B2C commerce, right? So Salesforce is not mandating that the customers should have a storefront on B2C commerce. So we have a use case where we have actually integrated a Facebook storefront with this particular order management instance, probably for another day. Over to you, Smita. You can probably take it up.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi and Biju. This is a really interesting session. We've everyone's glued to the screens trying. This is the first time we've actually had anything on Commerce Cloud. So, and it's a niche area, not as well known as platform and everything. So, thank you so much. I'll now hand over to Parvati to take up the quiz.
Okay, thank you.